Welcome to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I have someone that I'm just getting to know real well.
Hi.
O'Neill Walters, thank you so much for coming here. He's part of a growing network and some sports entertainment stuff we're going to be working on. So,
Yes, definitely.
just welcome. So, as always, I want to begin.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, of course. You were born where, and where'd you go to high school? Where'd you grow up?
Right, so born Jamaican.
Jamaica. Okay.
Went to high school, Oberlin High School in the hills of St. Andrew.
Oh, so, okay. St. Andrew Parish.
Everybody know Kingston. So it's
Yeah.
it's pretty much a mixed spot. So
Okay.
that's where I went to high school.
Okay.
Grew up with a family of educators.
Okay.
Grandmother and mother,
Okay.
teachers. And
Oh, teachers.
dad was into construction. And
Okay. Good.
pretty much my
Okay.
life.
Yeah, well, so now we were talking earlier. So you early on, you were really interested in thinking about your future. So talk
Right.
about that when you were a young kid.
Right. So I think at a very early age of, we're talking about entrepreneurship, I can remember at age 9, 10, I used to have my book, like, dreaming of what my life would look like as an
At
adult.
9 or 10, you were doing that.
Right.
Wow.
And that I saw myself having a whole conglomerate of companies. you know.
Okay. Well, what prompted that? What influenced that? What do you think? What do you think made you think about that so early?
Honestly, it's an interesting question. I think I always had a mind. I dream a lot.
Right.
And I always had a mind that tried to see things beyond where it's at.
Right. Right.
Because I remember when I graduated high school, one of my things to my dad was, "Why don't you own a company?"
Right. Oh, really? Interesting. Okay.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
So I think it was something that's always in me.
Interesting.
I don't know.
So one of the reasons I was a dreamer too, I wasn't as organized as you were then, but I used to watch a lot of TV, more
Right.
TV than people think that I would watch. And that TV has given me a kind of this optimistic view of the world.
Right.
I think, because I always watch funny, positive shows. Did you watch much TV or?
No.
No.
Actually,
Okay.
I read more.
Oh, you
than
read
I-
more. So you're a scholar. So
Right. I mean,
people think I'm a scholar, but
growing up in Jamaica back then, there were just 2 TV stations, or one. But when I was
really?
when I was
Wow.
a teenager, there was only one television station.
Wow.
That signed off at a certain time of night.
Okay.
I grew up in a rural community. I never necessarily had a television.
Oh,
at home.
interesting. Wow. Interesting.
So reading was my go-to.
Okay,
And,
okay.
and delving into the book and visualizing what
So
you're reading.
nonfiction, probably nonfiction. So you read a lot of
Nonfiction
stuff.
and fiction, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
a
that
lot
was
of
your
that.
vision.
Right.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. So from there, and so what were some of your early jobs? What did you do?
So from there, high school, I lost my mom last year of high school. Went back. I did everything. I remember I went into printing T-shirts. Some of those Bob Marley T-shirts.
Oh yeah, you did. I know. Yes. Was that your own business, or you worked with someone
No,
else?
I was working with a.
Okay.
That was early age, teenage.
Okay.
And then I actually got into sales and marketing by default.
Okay.
Had an argument with my dad, and I decided I wanted to do my own thing. And I went out and got this job that was selling encyclopedias.
Oh really? Oh really? My goodness!
And,
Wow. Door to door.
Door to door.
Door to door. Wow. So you would knock on doors and.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did so well that they shipped me off to Barbados.
Oh really? Really?
At age 19, I was in Barbados. Never
Wow.
knew anybody there.
So you had a gift of sales.
Yes. So
Really?
I
Wow.
was just introduced to it. I think everything I do, I try to apply myself.
Right.
One of the things that I always believe I can do it. So and years later I realized that what I was doing was grasping what is called product knowledge.
Right,
When you
right.
get into something, you try to learn it,
Yes.
you try to refine it, and you try to know as much. So I never like to talk
Right,
unless
right.
I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So my early years.
You're definitely not American, because we Americans we talk about things before we even know what we're talking about.
Right.
So that's
Right.
no
Barbados.
offense to anybody.
Yeah, Barbados, and I lived in a couple of Caribbean countries: Saint Vincent, Grenada, Barbados. Traveled to Trinidad, and this is Eastern Caribbean. I know a lot of people think the Caribbean is Jamaica. No, it's a lot of other islands.
Yes.
And then I got into television somewhere around 23, 24.
Okay.
I was always fascinated by it. Really wanted to become an architect because my dad was a builder. So in the early years, that was what I was really more focused on.
Right.
But then, where I grew up, I had a, neighborhood. There was a lady that worked at the television station.
Okay.
There were persons in my community that were either involved in drama or theater, so there was always this interest.
Right.
So being here in the studio looking at the camera,
You're right, exactly. This is home for you.
Right. Went into television and in sales and marketing, and then with a very avid interest in learning everything, I literally volunteered to learn television production.
Do everything, right?
Yes.
To do everything.
Right. So here am I, a sales exec at first, and we go to office in the tie and in the shirts, and
Right.
we're supposed to be talking to the clients that are buying advertising,
Right.
and we don't necessarily go with the cameraman, but
Right.
on a weekend, just to learn, I would be pulling the cord behind the
Right.
cameraman for an
Right.
OB.
Right.
Then I became a production assistant. Then I got very involved in entertainment production.
Right, okay.
Pretty soon I was at Reggae Sumfest live.
Oh, really? Oh,
Helping producing production assistant on,
really? Wow.
on Reggae Sumfest. I'm a production assistant on OBs. I'm a production assistant at the Jazz and Blues.
Wow.
And my bosses used to struggle at the time, like, what do you want to do?
Right.
Are you a marketer?
Right, right.
Or a
You're a
production
right.
But I wanted to do both, because I had a very deep-rooted interest in, I fell in love with growing brands.
Right, right. Interesting.
And from the advertising side, I remember a client in Jamaica that's one of the biggest juice companies in Jamaica now. I actually, helped them I produced their first TV commercial, which was just
really?
a 10-second commercial in the Olympics. It went so well that they...
At the Olympics, it was aired at the Olympics?
The broadcast of the Olympics.
Yeah.
And I got them to come on board, and I convinced my boss
Yeah, wow.
that she should give them an opportunity to come in.
Right.
At a very low cost, and we worked with a package, get them a 10-second ad.
Wow.
At the time, it was innovative at the time, bottles popping on the screen.
Right, okay.
And that blew out into such a huge success. That company eventually employed me, like 2 years, 2 years later.
On their marketing team, or?
I was assistant marketing manager.
Oh, really? Oh, wonderful. Oh, wonderful.
For that company for a year, and then I went back into TV. Well, TV has always been a big part of my love.
Okay. You keep being pulled back into it.
Right,
as
get pulled back into it.
Yeah.
Very rounded. I got trained into print. I got trained into radio. I did produce a radio program for a short time. Was an associate producer on one of the leading entertainment shows in Jamaica.
Okay.
Then I started to develop programming for brands. So then I got promoted to the point where as an account exec, I'm managing advertising agencies, portfolios, working with some of the bigger brands now.
Yeah.
You go into these brand managers and you're sitting down and you're like, how can I break the mold?
Right. Right.
And with that, I would have innovated a lot of campaigns for them. In 2004, 2005, somewhere around there, we created, Heineken, a big brand, had this product that was for radio. I converted it to TV.
Oh, really? Okay.
It grew. It grew.
Wow. This is Heineken?
Heineken, the brand.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I was working with the agency, managing the portfolio. They had a product that was geared for radio. I'm in TV.
Right.
Their budget was going over there, and I said, I need to get some of that budget.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. On
So
TV.
I helped create a television version that blew up and became a very huge product in the market.
Oh, nice.
And very successful for them. And, I did a lot of that with other brands over time. And then in around 2009, my relationship with television and working for a boss, I got bold, and I decided I was going to chart my course of, in life there are sometimes things that happen that tells you it's time.
Yeah, exactly.
So in 2009 January, my salary that month was $1 million Jamaican dollars, which
really?
which is a novelty.
Right.
I negotiated right place, right time. I negotiated Olympic
Yeah.
sponsorship for one of the big brands.
Wow.
And they were not going to an agency, so my commission was high.
Oh,
And,
wow.
and
That's
that was
great.
it was.
Yeah.
And you know, the station didn't want to pay me. They're like, this paycheck is too huge.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
And I decided it was time for me to step into my own space. And that's when I become an entrepreneur fully. I started my
But you
business.
always had the entrepreneur state of mind.
Always had it.
Yeah, you always had it, but sometimes we need to be pushed
yes,
out.
we have to be pushed out.
Yeah,
You know, because
Yep.
it's a space of complacency.
Right.
It's a space.
You get comfortable.
It's
You get
fair.
comfortable,
It's
right.
also fair.
And it's fair too, right?
You know, we
Yeah.
sometimes admit it. It's fair. It's like, oh, if I step out, am I going to be able to pay the bills? Can I do this? I've never done this before.
Right.
You know, so you sometimes question yourself. I had a friend who was a lawyer, who I used to have I used to promote events, parties, and clubs, and that was my little side.
Right,
It
exactly.
wasn't for money. It was really just because it was me doing something. I registered the business and stuff. That was before
Right.
leaving TV, and she always used to say to me, "You need to step out," you know. And when I made that bold move, I had friends who said to me, "You're crazy. What are you doing?
Right.
You know,
Right.
you have good clients here.
Right. Right.
You know,
Yeah. Why take the risk?
Why take the risk?
Right.
You know, but I did. I have no regrets.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yes.
again, you talk to most folks who really have that confidence and go all in.
Right.
It's well worth it.
Yes.
And you say, why not take the risk is really what you go back. But again, that's
Exactly.
the entrepreneur state of mind, and most people don't
Yes.
have that. Okay, so you're starting your own business now. Talk to me about that first business that was yours.
That first business, and like with most business, you know, getting a name for a business is not as easy as we all think.
Yeah.
You know, the research
Yeah.
to try to be unique, to try to be different.
Okay.
I started a company, and after struggling to find a name, I decided to just spell my surname
Okay.
in the reverse.
And the reverse, so that was the...
That's Stretlaw Media.
So, O'Neill, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick commercial
Yes.
break, and we're going to come back. And so I wanted the name of the company was what?
Stretlaw.
Stretlaw.
My
okay.
surname spelled backwards.
All right, there we go.
Media.
All right, we're going to start there after the break. We'll see you right after the break on Entrepreneur State of Mind.
We're Dr. Mark and Liz from Marriage Matters, a show that inspires, instills hope, and empowers couples to weather the stresses of married life.
Join us each week to hear how couples, real couples like you, have overcome challenges that were hurting their marriages, as well as getting expert advice on ways to nurture a happy and healthy relationship.
Tune in Fridays at 4:30 p.m. and Thursdays at 9 a.m. on RVN TV.
Welcome back to Entrepreneur State of Mind. I have O'Neill Walter.
Yes.
So you started you started your new business.
Right.
You named it a reverse of your surname.
Surname, right.
And so what did you do? What kind of business was it?
So coming out of media, I looked in the market space, and I was looking for what the differentiation was, working with creatives, working with people who are editors, video editors. There were a lot of people who were trying to get their own television shows done. One of the niche that existed at the time was people had an issue funding their TV projects.
Right, okay.
So I decided that was a space that I wanted to explore,
Okay.
and then in the Caribbean there was not a lot of people who were involved in syndication of TV shows or distribution or seeking pathways for that. So I decided that was a route I was going to take, which led to me traveling a lot for conferences and NAPT and all these things, networking a lot. And then about a year in, I decided to delve into sports, and that was just because somebody showed me there's a sports marketing certification. And I was like, maybe I should do this. That changed my life.
Right.
I became a certified sports marketer about a year in. Successfully delivered a couple TV shows, within that first year.
Okay.
I mean, in business, they say it's 3 years before you make or break it.
Right.
Those 3 years were tough years, but I stuck it out. Had some lucrative opportunities that came by that I had to make the best of.
Right.
Became a certified sports marketer, and then I took on that element of the market space.
Okay.
And successfully delivered a number of huge wins.
Oh, wow.
High school sports, I totally was invited on board to help them. A property that was like 105 years old, the largest development sports meet in the world.
Right.
For track and field.
For track and field in Jamaica.
In Jamaica. It's boys and girls champs. It's a boys and girls champs.
Right.
I became their exclusive marketing agent for their sports properties and raised over $400 million in a year for them, and was negotiating broadcasting contracts.
And this is for a high school track and field.
Right. This is where the Usain Bolts and all of these top athletes that we see.
Right.
That's where they come through.
Yeah.
Before the world
and Jamaica
sees them.
dominates, when it comes to to that sport. And so that's pretty to get that contract in Jamaica. That's a big deal. So you must have gotten that opened a lot of doors for you. Probably.
Yes, it did. It did. So I was after that. There was after that success, and I did that for track and field and also soccer, football. Football in Jamaica.
Two of the biggest sports.
Right, and then subsequently I worked for one of the largest telecom brands, as an agent, helping them develop properties that would hit grassroots in football, etc. So I had a very successful run, delivering projects, breaking, and the smart administrators, I had them knocking on the door, they're coming, O'Neill, what's the formula? What's the sauce? How can we do it? Can we repeat this? And yes, it was a very successful run. At the core, my passion was always, which still is, how to help. There's a number of young people who work for me that I've always encouraged them. Start your own business. It's something that I hold dear.
Right.
Stepping out of the blocks, self-sufficiency, some level of independence, time freedom. These are some of the stuff you enjoy. It's hard work.
Yes, it's hard. It's hard work.
The risks are huge.
Right.
The rewards are great when they come.
Yeah.
So it's always something I encourage.
Oh, good.
Or
to really help young people develop their entrepreneur state of mind. And so, and not everybody's an entrepreneur.
Yes.
But those that are sometimes don't get the encouragement they need.
No, they don't.
To take it to the next level.
The next level. Yes.
So good. So now coming now, and we'll talk about some of the projects we're working on together. But so after that, what are you working on now outside of what we're talking about?
So presently, in about 2017 or thereabouts, I actually got I segued a little bit, still in marketing. I was the collaborator on a project for a champagne company that was working with Usain Bolt.
Okay.
Was a part of a global team, and I did. So I've worked on different sides of the table. So I was literally like the brand manager, working the product in the market, which I did successfully.
Through your consulting firm?
Yes, definitely.
Really?
To my firm.
So you had a chance to work on something that Usain Bolt was attached to.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. That was a champagne out of France.
Yeah, okay.
And then in 2019, I launched a company, a part of my passion, with the mantra, create, protect, earn. With a vision, it's ignition, with a vision to help creatives and people to identify with their talents, identify whether it's a personality brand or a tangible brand, how to create, innovate, protect it, and then earn.
Oh, really?
I'm in the process, COVID came and, a lot of stuff get shifted, the sports market get messed up. So currently, I am about to launch a product that I did in 2016 called Winning Rhythms, which help young beat makers to get exposed. We did it successfully with a huge beverage brand that sponsored it, successfully delivered it, and I'm now under contract with one of the leading radio stations and media house in Jamaica to relaunch it as a flagship brand.
Okay.
We're in the process right now of launching it in 2022 again.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So that's one of the current things I'm working on.
So explain that a little more for the audience. What does
Winning
that
Rhythms
entail?
So Winning Rhythms is really, Jamaica is a country known for its music.
Right. Yeah.
It actually came up, I was working one night on one of the sports properties.
Right.
I was in my office at 4 a.m. in the morning.
Working. That's an entrepreneur.
Right?
Right? You got to get it done.
I was consulting one of my business associates, Adrian. I have to give Adrian credit. And I was calling him because we were mirroring a property of EPL for high school sports, football. And when I called him I had a burning question to ask him. I wake him up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and we're talking, and he was like, O'Neill, I know you're from TV and stuff. You have this idea about having a competition for beat makers. And they make a beat, so we call it rhythm, because in Jamaica, a beat is called a rhythm. Right.
Okay.
And it has to be a winning rhythm, a winning beat that wins.
Now is it a short bit? So when you say a beat, is it just a short?
So it's pretty much, when we call it the beats, it's really just like 30 seconds, but a beat is looped into 3 minutes or 2 minutes, depending on the length of a song.
Right. Interesting.
And we collected I did my research, coming out of that, I created, with the experience I had from television, I created a property as a media property.
Right.
And then I quickly, I started to consult. I consulted one of my friends who's one of the top DJs on the island, Kurt Riley, and I was like, does this make sense? Would I be able to call it beats? And he's like, yes, O'Neill. The amount of beats I get from young people who are trying to break.
Right.
In 1.5 weeks, we collected 250 rhythms.
Wow, really? Wow.
And then I reached out to stakeholders in the industry, Robert Livingston, that broke Shaggy, all these people supported the project.
Wow.
We're using his studios. We discovered, we're linked with a performing arts school to get kids to come in and write lyrics for the rhythm. So it's a whole process. It's really, how I look at it is, it's a project that helps to unearth talent, but also helps to show the process of what it takes to make music happen.
Right.
And we're now relaunching that and inviting sponsors to come on board.
Wow. And so is it like an American Idol where the beats win? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So we move from when the beats come in, we have our whole process. We use social media, etc. And then we move to capturing the beat down, and then we bring in experts, producers, professional producers that will listen to the beats. We categorize it, then we go into 40 beats.
Right.
Those 40 beats go to radio.
Right, okay.
They play the snippets of them playing on radio with a number, and then you're encouraged to public votes.
So you vote on that?
For the favorite beat.
Yeah.
And then we get down to the top 10 beats after a couple of weeks, and then we choose 5 wild cards.
Right.
Then we go to a studio, and we actually record on these beats.
Right.
Then now it's a song that the public votes for. It's your favorite song and your favorite beat.
Right.
And then we had 2 winners. And we had a youngster, age 18, we had 2 categories at the time. We had the under 18 and we had the over 18 category, and we had 2 winners, and they won themselves a MacBook Pro with Pro Tools and stuff. And we had a scholarship from the Performance College for somebody to go and get certification around what they're doing and stuff like that. This year, we're hoping to have a full-blown recording project coming out at the end.
Nice.
We have Edge 105, one of the top radio stations in the island. That's 100%. They're pretty much like the franchise holder for the property.
Oh wow!
So we're looking to have we have the whole PR machinery to give kids exposure and all these practitioners exposure on the station. Yeah. So yeah. That's
brilliant, and we'll talk. We didn't talk when we were writing about this music fan game thing, which is we'll talk about that. Right. So one of the things we're working on, too, because of your, how often. 2 of my favorite Jamaicans are Usain Bolt and Shaggy. So the 2 of them, you've had a chance to work with both of them.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things we're doing with RV and Television is this Black Excellence Network, and O'Neill's going to be partner in that and really help us grow that network. And the idea is really to celebrate Black excellence. And it's not an exclusion. It's really to celebrate Black excellence. I'd celebrate Italian excellence or Irish excellence or others. But there's so many amazing stories and amazing people that really don't get the attention that they get. And so we're gonna really do that. And so it's nice to have you as part of that project.
Definitely.
So,
and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that for many reasons. As you said, I'm Black, but it's also, I think we have as this generation, I think it's important for us to translate information to the next generation.
Yes.
Create, vibrant properties that can live. Some exist already in comedy and all of that, but it's also important to create a platform that they can go to and still be able to extract value from after we're gone.
Yes, exactly, a long-term value. And in areas that people don't really realize.
Exactly.
That, I mean, obviously entertainment and sports, we're doing well, but I always mention Onesimus, who came up with the process to cure viruses. He was a slave in Boston.
Exactly.
And so there are amazing stories about American innovation and ingenuity, and so excited about that. And then the other one that we're talking about is really this pro tennis and music tour. It ties in with your sports and music, and I think I really make it certainly a North American initially, but maybe even global.
Definitely.
And so
Jamaica and the Caribbean, hopefully.
The Caribbean and the U.S. And so with your background, and I was on the board of the United States Tennis Association, that combination is working. So we're really at the end of time. Man, I'm just so impressed with what you're doing and excited. We're going to have you back, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we're doing to really, and audience, stay tuned. I think you will be excited about some of the projects that we're working on, which will be wherever you are will be coming right to you. So O'Neill, again, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you again, and your background, and I feel like you should be interviewing me, given you
all the great things you're doing.
So take care. Thanks for watching Entrepreneur State of Mind, and we will see you next week.